Good evening. It is Monday. It's just gone 8 o'clock. It's time for Mod Cons. And you can see we've got a guest with us this evening who will be talking to us all things gaming related, specific to do with him later on.
Hello.
So yes, hello, Mag. Welcome.
It's nice to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming on. And always, Mr. Tim, how are we doing?
Hello. Yes, all good, all good. Bit tired after the long bank holiday weekend, but all good.
That's a good thing to be tired of, though, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, it's good to be tired from doing lots of fun stuff than tired from work or something.
Yeah, I work with that. I had a darker thought then, but I'm not going to let the intrusive thoughts win. Not going to let them win. So before we dive into all the good stuff we've got to talk about tonight, we'll just jump over to the chat. We've got Mr. Dave Newland. Mr. Dave Newland, always good to see you, my good friend. We've got Dankers TV. Good evening.
Hello, Danker.
We've got Vernon Couchman. Mr. Vernon, always good to see you. We've got Colm. Good to see you, my friend. We have got Toxo in the chat. We've got Mr. Jesse. Hello,
Woo!
Jesse.
Hey, Jesse.
Well. Hope you are good. We've got Manic Attack. We have got Mr. Mike Holton. Hello, everybody. You are all very, very welcome. And do join in the chat with all the fun stuff we've got coming up. Because, yes, I think some of the stuff we'll talk about, could be divisive.
I think it will.
We will see. But as always, we'll kick off with our topic of what are you playing? So, Mag, you are the guest this evening. So, what have you been playing?
So, ironically, I'm going to go for two games that I wanted to play and got finished. So, Dungeons and Hinterberg, I finished, which came out in July, which was on Game Pass. Not a big fan of RPGs. This is almost like for people who don't like RPGs, but you need to play this. It's been great fun, and I never thought I would enjoy a game so much like this. And it's on Game Pass, so go check that out. Pepper Grinder, which I know you guys played at WASD, which came out in April on PC, got its console release while we were at Timeless. Played that last week, finished that this weekend. Love it. Great game. Again, short 3-4 hour thing. Couldn't love it more. And obviously, I wasn't allowed to talk about it until 1 o'clock today, but I've been playing for the last week because I've had a copy since last Tuesday, the new Star Wars game. And we'll talk about that later.
I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of that.
Yeah,
I really am. Excellent. That's a good little roster of games.
Yeah.
And Tim, what are you playing at the moment?
I don't have a big roster. I've just got one game I've kind of been playing at the moment, which is Paper Trail. So I've still been playing Paper Trail. It's a real cog turner. You really have to think. There's quite a few bits where I get stuck for a while, but then it's really satisfying to actually get through the level. So there's like a few hints. You can look at hints of it tells you what order to fold the paper in and how. But knowing that alone isn't always enough to clear the level because you have to figure out how to get like a stone from one side of the screen to the other or like move statues around. So the statues kind of weigh the paper down. So you can't fold past the statue. And if you fold paper over and put the statue on top, you then can't fold it back. So it's kind of like on top level of the paper. So it's a really interesting puzzles. It's a really clever game design. I've been playing it on mobile because it's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix and you have a phone, which I think most people do, jump on it and have a go because it's really fun to play just on mobile because it's all swiping the screen to move stuff around and tap where you go. But it is one where you do need to kind of put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. I wouldn't sit there and play it for hours at a time because once you clear an area, the next area is very similar. And when you've kind of been pushing your brain to its limits to figure out what the hell you're supposed to do, you go, yes, I've got through the area. And then the next screen is another screen of paper that you've got to try and figure out to get through. I'm like, I can't do another one. I've got to put it down for a bit and then you come back to it. But I've been like picking it up and down quite regularly. So I've been chipping away at it. But I don't think I'll play it for hours on end. I might do if I'm stuck. But it's really good. I definitely recommend giving it a try. It is a very unique game. It's got a very unique mechanic. And it's not the mechanic was what hooked me initially. It got me interested in playing it. But once you start playing it and you see how it's been used, it's got some really clever puzzles. So it starts off, it's like, okay, we're going to fold this corner over to create a bridge, walk around it, and then you put the corner back and then you leave the level. That's as simple as it gets, but it goes way beyond that as you get further through and becomes quite challenging. Either that or I'm just not very clever. Other people might play and say, what's he on about? It's easy. But I personally have found it quite challenging. So it's been good to play something that's sort of pushed my thinking capacity a bit more.
Something a bit thinky.
Yeah, rather than just button bashing and killing things. Also, I have started playing. I had to get a note of the name of it because I'm going to butcher it. It's Kusimi Gami, Path of the Goddess.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's just kind of landed on Game Pass, and I've just started playing that. And it's a fun little hack and slash scroller. But the thing with that, you can go side view, and it's like a 2D side view hack and slash platformer. But then you can pan the camera around, and you can turn where the camera is, and you can change it so it looks more like your 3D and behind the character rather than to the side view. So that's pretty good. I've only just started that, but so far so good.
Yeah,
looks quite fun. Really good graphics as well. Quite nice art style. Like all the demons have like stuff like flying off them and things. When things die, they like evaporate. Reminded me a bit like when you kill an enemy in Final Fantasy X, the spires come off. It's got stuff like that going on all the time. And when you're doing some of the special attacks, like there's a after image behind your blade when you're doing what they call like a dance move. And it's quite flashy. It's nice.
Flashy. A nice word to describe something. The games I've been playing are definitely not intellectual whatsoever. In fact, one of them is very much not intellectual. This one, for some reason, I put down end of last year and didn't finish. Thankfully, have now finished because it was bloody great. And I don't know why I put it down, but I clearly did. So I finally finished Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, amazing.
Why did that take me so long to finish? Couldn't tell you. It's best in the franchise so far. It's brilliant. Really, I would like to play it again and do it 2-player and have like my daughter maybe be the Luigi character and see what we can do with that. I've got one boss left to fight on this, but I figured I'm going to pop it down because of the other game that I'm playing at the moment. I just really wanted to put some time into. So Cult of the Lamb. Good grief.
Yeah, that's good.
It is so much fun. I've had so much fun and I've tried to be a nice cult leader and not be nasty, until somebody starts, some of your characters can then start like preaching that they don't like being part of your cult and that you're a terrible leader. And then I'll just sacrifice them. And people, I don't tend to have too much shouting from my cult anymore. It's normally when they're really pissed off because I've disappeared for weeks on end and they've all shat in the camp and you got to clean that up. And but it can all be turned to fertilizer, so it's all good. So yes, I've been enjoying Cult of the Lamb a tremendous amount. And then the one that I've been wanting to get to for a little while, there's no brain involved in this at all, but it is a cool story. It's Stellar Blade, which I'm not.
I enjoyed that.
It's really good. I'm not massively far into it, but maybe 5-6 hours. Graphically, it's like stunning to look at. And it's got a really solid combat system. The areas feel a bit sparse at times, but the boss fights are great and the counter attacks are really good. It's really good. It's like Devil May Cry with a really hot Korean girl.
It was, for me, it was the fact that it felt half Devil May Cry, half Nier Automata. It had that vibe about it, and I like both those games, and it mixed so well. It's just not enough. It got a lot of publicity when it was out, and it sold well for that month. It was the best-selling game, even though it came right out the month, and then it's just disappeared, which is a shame because it's actually really, really good.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Well, I don't know how the story ends, obviously, but if there's room to do more things with it, maybe a bit of DLC, like I'd be totally into that. It's really good fun. And it doesn't punish you. There's a fun exploration element to it where you don't sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't like completely derail you if you go and explore the area. So yeah, I like it. It's really good. Don't quite understand what everyone was getting so worked up about, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But, well, I do, but I'm not going to talk about
that. But that's a different thing.
But it looks good.
Yeah.
So that's me at the moment. I'm finally not saying just Final Fantasy Rebirth anymore. I'm actually saying other games, which is great. So first topic. Concord has launched, albeit digitally. And I'd love to call it like a soft launch or something, because it's sort of had very soft reception, but it's
Hard crash launch is how I would describe it.
it's not good, is it? It's not good. So to put it into some context, I did have a little look up online to see what it was at its peak, and I think, what have I written here? So peak streamers over the weekend was 697.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's
Not thousands.
No.
697.
And to put that into context, Helldivers 2, when that was at its peak, had 155,000 streamers.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that Concord is flagging. I don't even think it's going to launch, really, which is a shame. So, I mean, Mag, have you been following Concord at all?
I have. It's one of those funny things that they kicked off the last, PlayStation video conference with it, State of Play, and it kicked in, and I went, "Oh, this looks good." And that story trying to right, this is them doing their version of a Guardians of the Galaxy thing. I could buy into this because there's been no real big hitters for PlayStation this year. And then they announced it's coming out in August, and I'm like, "Oh, this could be good, brilliant." And then they showed you the gameplay, and I went, "Nobody asked for this. This is just Overwatch ripoff." And I was just like, "Oh, I'm not interested in this more." And then within the space of 5 minutes, I U-turned on it. And I've not even decided. Like, we try and cover as many big name games out, and we've just ignored this month. We're not even going to cover it. There's just no point. I don't even know why this was a thing. And I get that they were trying to do something clever with the narrative, but the narrative's not really anything to do with the game. And they go, "Oh yeah, but every week we're going to sneak out a little trailer on YouTube to tell you more of the lore." And I was like, "Well, if you made a proper game, then you could have put that in the game. You're going to make some multiplayer thing that no one cares about."
It's difficult. I'll get to some of my thoughts, which are pretty similar to yours.
Yeah.
Tim, have you sort of seen much or followed much on?
No, I can't say that I have, but the way you're describing it, there seems to be a bit of a trend where some games will come out and be met with a very sort of lukewarm reception.
Yeah.
And then they'll bring out updates to it, and then the game will start getting a lot better. The games that come to mind are things like Cyberpunk had a lot of issues, but over time it's now getting very good reviews. Anyone I know that's played Cyberpunk actually really rates it and recommends it. But when it came out, a lot of people were complaining about the content. No Man's Sky is another one that comes to mind. Like when that came out, everyone was like, well, they thought it was really dull, wasn't really much to do. And over time now, people now start recommending it. And also I found like not quite so much, but Sea of Thieves is a bit similar. A lot of people say, well, Sea of Thieves first came out, there wasn't much to do, and they've brought more content out as time's gone on. So
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
it's going to improve over time. And perhaps we'll be future updates on it.
I don't think it will, because if you look at what happened with Suicide Squad this year, which was quite poorly received in the first place, this has been even is there such a word? Worsely received.
Worserer.
There you go. That's a new word for you on the internet.
Worserer.
Yeah, it's worserer than and Suicide Squad's only just got to its second season and no one cares. Right? I can't see this even doing seasons or that, because if this is how badly this has been received from launch, at least with Suicide Squad, for the first 4 weeks, people were playing it and streaming it, and there was thousands of people talking about it, regardless of whether they hated it or not. I don't think anything's going to rescue Concord. I think this is dead in the water before it's even taken off.
It's I think I completely agree with what you said at the start, Mag. When they launched the trailer, I thought this looks kind of cool. It's a little bit sci-fi. It's a little bit sort of silly. It's a little bit cartoony. Like I've got a little soft spot for these sorts of games. And then the story started coming out. You're like, okay, I'm into this. It's like a ragtag team. Yep, count me in. And then then it was multiplayer gameplay, and you're like, I don't really want that, because if I want that, I'll just play Overwatch. And I haven't even played Overwatch 2 because that had some sort of
it's not even worth bothering with either.
No, it didn't have a great hit, but I remember when the first Overwatch launched, and I just played it solidly for about 2 months, and it only had 2 game modes. It was just capture the flag or I can't remember what the other game mode was. It might have even just been team deathmatch, and that was it. Just two modes. but it was so well done and so addictive, and there wasn't anything else like it at that time. Whereas now there's so many live service games, and I don't really understand why you try and bring out another one when things like Helldivers has done really well, and bloody Fortnite, it's still there. Fortnite still exists and still has a huge following.
But that's the thing, because Fortnite, whether you love it or hate it, and I know some people who love it, hate it, depending on what season they do, because it can massively just the game constantly evolves. I think games like this take longer to evolve down the line. Now, No Man's Sky, Sea of Thieves started off at a certain point, and even with Cyberpunk, I know it's a different type of game. I mean, I hated Cyberpunk on launch. I think it was the biggest piece of trash that was ever to hit. Like when that came out, it deserved to people do mass burnings of that game. CD Projekt Red deserved all the flack that they got for that, from what happened. However, by the time they finally brought out the DLC, which took them 2 years to bring out, that was supposed to come out 6 months after, that game was spot on. And I will actually eat all the words that I spent 2 years slagging off Cyberpunk, and they did well to do that. I think the problem is with a game like this is unless you've got a model that hits a certain target audience. So Helldivers 2 was done exceptionally well from launch and continues to change. The problem you've got is really this is just a glorified clone of another game, which is going to fly under the radar because there's too much of this stuff. I mean, we had Multiverses come back out again, right? Does anyone remember that actually came out 2 months after disappearing for a year and a half? Does anyone care? No, point taken. Thank you very much. Concord's just not going to cut it.
No, and it's a shame because I'm sure I've read somewhere that it's taken 8 years to develop.
Which that's the bit that does hurt me, because this is the sad thing, right? Because you still got to remember, regardless of whether a game is good or not, there's still people that put their heart and soul into making this thing, and I would never want to be in their position where your game comes out and there's only 600 people playing it on the opening weekend. Because that must be soul destroying, and I'd never wish that on anybody. But then it's mainly probably the studio head people that are behind it that said, "Well, it's got to go multiplayer. It's got to go this." So,
it's a shame. It's a shame because, like you say, I do think that is a good point. It's people do pour their hearts and souls into it, but at the same time, if you're making a live service first person shooter, that you
do something different with it.
Yeah. 100%. It's got to be. It's got to be unique. Hoping that Helldivers 2 comes to Xbox. I don't know if it will. I think it's done. It's done so well. Like Sony have got this really good sort of relationship. I say with PC. I mean, it's basically fucking Microsoft anyway, isn't it? But for some reason, they've got this really good. Like working period where they can kind of launch stuff on PlayStation and launch it on PC, but it doesn't come to Xbox. Interesting. I don't know if it will though. Don't know if it will. Earlier on, I would have said maybe, but yeah.
Stranger things have happened. We're now getting Indiana Jones on PlayStation 6 months after the Xbox thing. So hey,
are we?
Yeah. So literally, they announced last week Indiana Jones. They finally gave the reveal date, which is I think the 12th or 19th of December. I can't quite remember now. And then literally went, oh, but that's not all. And after the trailer, it just came up and basically announced that PlayStation version's coming out like literally 6 months later. It's only a 6 month exclusive on Xbox.
I'm still not sure.
Oh, I think it's going to be awful. So I'm hoping that they prove me wrong. I think it's going to be a terrible game. And I love everything that Machine Games has done so far. I'm really worried for the Indiana Jones game, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's... I mean, we're off on a tangent already, so let's run with it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. No. I like tangents. Tangents are good. There's something about a first person. It's I don't quite understand how a first person Indiana Jones game is going to work.
No, I'm worried. That's what worries me.
Like third person would be a lot more fun. It'd be a lot more.
I think so. Yeah,
but a first person, there we are. Yeah, can't see it. I can't either, Dave. It's just it's weird.
I hope they prove me wrong. December last year, the Avatar game came out. I thought it was going to be absolute trash. Really enjoyed that game. It was actually great fun. Wasn't the most amazing game, but great fun. If Indiana Jones can do that and proves me wrong, I'll be happy, and I know what I'll be playing all Christmas. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to go with no expectations with that, and then just hope it proves me wrong.
Yeah, there's just a part of me that feels like it looks like a 360 game, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
like like graphically, it does look good, but it just doesn't. It doesn't look like. Well, I'm looking at it now. Like, it doesn't look like Stellar Blade. It doesn't look like Cyberpunk. All these games that are really like pushing it.
But can Troy Baker save it? That's what we want to know. As Indiana, I'm really convinced he's quite good, actually. So
yeah, I could. If anyone could do it, it'd be him. But
come on, Troy, do it for us. Make it good.
Specifically for us.
Just Troy, nobody else, not Machine Games, anyone else. Troy, it's all on you. No pressure.
Tim, Indiana Jones, what's your take on it?
Am I right in thinking it is coming to Game Pass? Did I see?
Yeah, it's day one Game Pass.
If it's day one Game Pass, I don't see why not. I'll give it a punt. Have a go. I think there might be. I might be wrong, but I think there's an Indiana Jones film that passed me by. So obviously there's the original 3, and then they did Crystal Skull. And have they done another one?
Yeah, the one that came, the thing that came out last year that everyone hated and it bombed at the box office.
What was
Dial
it
of
called?
Destiny.
That's
it. I've still not watched that. It's on my Disney Plus, and I still haven't watched it.
I could even watch it. I've got Disney Plus. I could watch it, and it just completely passed me by. I was like, oh, there was a 5th Indiana Jones film that I didn't notice. So yeah, I'll definitely give the game a try. I agree with everything that Ollie's saying about it looking like a 360 game, but I do like 360 games, so I might enjoy it as long as it's fun.
He's got plenty of them there.
Yeah.
I am buying the crap out of 360 games at the moment, specifically because they're starting to disappear. But
yeah,
I buy the 360 games, expected them to look like 360 games.
You're not expecting a Series X game or PS5 to look like a 360 game.
No, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's a bit of a tangent. I'll be very brief. But one thing that, but I think Indiana Jones is another game that I think of. And did you ever play Pitfall 3D Beyond the Jungle?
Yes.
PS1. It's a bit clunky controls, takes a while to get used to, but once you get the hang of the controls, you just stop just running off the edge. It's actually a really fun 3D platformer. And that's kind of Indiana Jonesy. He's got a hat. I think he's got a whip. No, he's got a pickaxe.
Yeah.
And swing on this pickaxe to get through things. Yeah. That was quite a fun game. Overlooked, I think. It wasn't a big release.
4 and 5 a week source. I actually have a bit of a soft spot while we're on the indies topic still. I have a bit of a soft spot for Crystal Skull. It's not brilliant. It's not a good movie, let alone a good Indiana Jones movie, but there's just something about it that I think it's because I like aliens and the whole thing has a massive fucking UFO at the end.
I think it had some good ideas. It was just executed badly in some respects. Like there were certain aspects you could see where they were trying to go with it, but then it just got mixed up with the CG massacre that was flying monkeys or whatever, swinging monkeys and killer ants and aliens. I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you're doing this.
Yeah. So, on to something which may have slightly more positive receptions. So, Star Wars Outlaws reviews are in, and it's a good game. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear that it was a good game. I'm going to ask you everything in a minute, Mag, because I'm very, very excited to speak to someone that has actually played it. But yeah, it feels like there was a pocket of people like really gunning for this game to be shit, and I don't understand why you would want anything to be shit. I want everything to be good. I don't want anything to be terrible. So I'm really pleased that this has had a very good reception, and it just bodes well because I enjoy Star Wars games.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mag, what is it like?
Okay, so I was very fortunate to get sent a copy by Ubisoft. Thank you, Ubisoft. And literally, this is how funny it was. So my guest on my show last week was talking about that he got sent a copy, and I was like, oh well, I know I'm getting a copy, but we're going to be streaming it this time next week. So we're actually going to play it live this time next week. And I was like, so I'll probably get it in next week sometime. Little old I know that sitting in my inbox while doing that show was my copy. So I didn't even know it was sitting there for a day. So I didn't start playing it till the Wednesday, like an absolute idiot. And I really like it. Obviously I'm a good couple of hours in, but I'm not that. there's elements that you can go, yeah, this is a core Ubisoft game. There's a bit of parkour. There's a bit of scoping out areas. No, Manic, it's not on Game Pass. I probably won't be for at least 12 months from what I've been told anyway. There's little tropes that you can go, right, so they've taken that from Assassin's Creed, that from Far Cry. And normally you kind of go, oh, so it's going to be one of these. I think what people were worried about is it was a game that was going to be a big open map with a load of icons, and you go, oh, here we go. We're back to normal Ubisoft territory. That is not the case, because this is very much going down the line of, and this is funny because, and sue me for saying this, but I don't like the Red Dead Redemption games. I don't like them. Never got on with them. Don't care for them. But this is almost like you're doing Red Dead Redemption in a Star Wars universe, because yes, there's a big open map, but because of the choices you make will determine what missions open up to you. So you can have different dialogues with different factions. So you might start speaking with Jabba the Hutt and the Hutts. So that opens up one lot of stuff, but then that's going to annoy a load of other people. So if you go to a certain area, you've got to deal with things very differently than if you got friendly with them and then go this. And it just changes the game completely. And you can jet around on your speeder bike and upgrade it. And there's no lightsabers. There's guns galore. It's just beautifully looking. The dialogue's great. The story seems to be actually coherent. And you actually feel compelled that you like this character who you're finding out more and more. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but you find out more and more why she's doing what she's doing and how she's got into this situation. And of course, there's the adorable creature that's with you, but the adorable creature can be used in many ways to solve puzzles, problems, or get you out of a tight spot. I did find there was a couple of bits that were a bit clunky and a bit responsive at first, and I've had the game crash on me once during play. But I don't know if there's been a patch since yesterday. But all in all, it is very much a Wild West style game that you're going after targets, you're going to retrieve things, you're going to steal things and build up what's happening. And I like the fact that how you change what you do can have huge consequences for you in that respect. All in all, it's everything that I actually hoped that this game would be for. And I will give more opinions on it in another week's time. Once I've got more in it. But I'm thoroughly impressed. And I see this. If it plays out all the way to the end, obviously I've not got to the end of it yet, but plays out how it's going, this could be quite easily in Game of the Year lists, like top 5, easy on all things. Like I can see it being on a game spot on that. So yeah, it's worth stumping the cash up for, I would say.
Okay. Exciting. Tim, Star Wars Outlaws, has it been on your radar?
It has a bit, because I do like Star Wars games. They always look really appealing. Like the graphics they have, and they always look nice. I did play a bit of what was that one they did not long ago? There's been a second one where you play that Jedi that's not in the films.
Yes, Jedi Survivor.
Oh yeah.
That was really funny. He has like the little robot with him, doesn't he? And there's like person. And I have to admit, like you were describing there, like the games where you have the big map with all the icons. I do like those kinds of games, but I did find that after playing like GTA's, Assassin's Creed games, played quite. I really liked what was that like? Not Yakuza. It was
Like a Dragon.
Sleeping Dogs.
Oh yeah. Great game.
That was similar. And Horizon. I play all these games where you've got these big maps, and it feels like you're just trying to tidy up the map to get all these things done. And you get a bit of burnout with that after a while. And I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was one of the Assassin's Creed games. I cleared out a massive area, and then I was on the map screen. I was panned back and saw how much of the map was left to explore. And I was like, no. And I just stopped playing. It's like, no, there's just too much to do. So yeah, hearing you describe it, saying it doesn't overstretch you and puts you in focus, I actually find that quite appealing. I think I'll probably dive into something like that, because I think if you go these sort of style games for a while.
I think if you go crazy and start talking to loads of different people, then you might end up with loads of icons. But the way I've been playing it is, right, I'm sticking with one faction for now, seeing how this pans out. but seeing that there's certain areas of the map that are going to be really troublesome for me to be able to complete my objectives, and then some areas where I can just stroll in, get the stuff, get out of there. So I like that. There might even be replayability in this and play it down another route.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it affects the endings. It might not. You might still get the same ending, but it definitely, I think, would play differently in that respect. So, yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I'm just really pleased that it's another good addition to Star Wars. You know, I've said many times, like, I like Star Wars a lot. I don't love it. I'm not, you know, mad into it with, you know, Star Wars tattoos up my back and that kind of stuff. But I like Star Wars a lot. And I don't dislike the stuff we've been getting on Disney Plus either. I think the Disney Plus shows have been pretty good. I know lots of people don't like them for, you know, many strange and stupid reasons. And it really felt like there was an air of that sort of coming over to this game, and people sort of seemed to really want this game to not be good. And I wasn't sure if it was just because you weren't playing as a Jedi or what, but it's nice to be able to explore other parts of the Star Wars universe, because, you know, we've done things like becoming a Sith, or, you know, being trained as a Sith with, you know, Force Unleashed. We've done the Jedi stuff. We've done now like a new Jedi sort of person with the Jedi Survivor ones. So this is cool. This is just something a little bit more low key. This is just, again, it's like it's Outlaws. You know, it's just
it is focusing on that underbelly and seedy side of what goes on, what like the gambling places and all the, you know, all the criminals and stuff. And I think it's a nice take on it. I also think that I also loved Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. So anyone who loves those games will immediately gravitate to it, because it does feel familiar, even though it's completely different studios working on it. It has that familiarity, even though you're never going to have a lightsaber. But there's just bits of it you kind of go, yeah, this feels very familiar to me in a good way. So, yeah.
Yeah, there was a clip on, I think it was IGN's page, when they was just having a quick read of their review, and the clip was just like an over-the-shoulder shot of, it sort of reminded me of it, Gears of War, this cover system, and she's just shooting down some stormtroopers, and it was just this real quick little clip, and I thought, yeah, that's me. I like that. That looks cool. I like the idea.
Good.
Yeah.
But and I think the other thing is, you also, because of the way it is, especially if you go into an area that you really shouldn't be in, where you get some cover shooters where you go, this is easy. There's bits where the AI and that can swarm around behind you, and you're getting it from all angles. And there's times where I've gone, I am going to so die in this bit, because it's like I have not approached this the right way. And there's also different routes and things to get into different places. So you don't have to go all in guns blazing, but sometimes gun blazing can work, but doesn't work. So again, it's that element of, I need to think how I'm going to approach this, but the combat feels satisfying.
Great. Yeah. I mean, that's really good to hear, though, because it's, a bad Star Wars combat game would be not good. That just wouldn't do well.
Chucking grenades at stormtroopers is great fun. And watching them just get blown across wherever they're from. It's great. One literally pulled up on a speeder bike, and I lobbed the grenade and blew him off the speeder bike. It's great fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with what Danka said earlier. Star Wars, if done right, will always sell well, and that's true. It always does. I think even Star Wars done bad sells well. It's has anything Star Wars related ever flopped? Games or movies?
Well, they've recently axed some TV shows, haven't they? Disney Plus just axed that most recent show. Apparently, I never even watched it, whatever it was called. So that's cold.
Yes, I've not seen it, but again, that looked like it had a good cast in it as well. So
yeah, I know, and apparently it's just been axed. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a flop, but we never got that Star Wars. What was it? 26 or whatever it was called. That looked excellent, and then never saw the light of day. That could have been, I can't remember what it was called. Someone in chat will probably tell me what it was called, but that looked amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but even the most recent revamps of certain games where they've just done the ports this year, we've had 2 sets of ports that are very poorly done, but they've sold well.
But no, I am glad that Outlaws is good. I'm glad it's getting good reviews. I'm glad
Yeah.
someone I know has played it and has said, yes, it is a good
Yeah,
game.
it's worth
because
it.
that ticks a big box for me.
Mm.
Right, last topic before we start talking about the wonderful event that Mag took us to.
What was that?
I'm coming in with the topic of horror games need to come back really strong, purely because we have had a really good run of horror movies at the cinema. Normally, horror tends to go through this sort of like peaks and troughs at the cinema, where you get a period of good movies and then like 3 or 4 years of just absolute guff. I don't think we've had much guff since about 2019. We're on like a 5-year high of great movies like Smile. There's all the new things like Long Legs, which is really cool. Just had Alien Romulus, which is really cool. Anyone that's really into Alien, highly recommend you go and see Alien Romulus. It's almost a perfect Alien movie for me. So yeah, for me, it feels like horror video games have kind of been lapsing a little bit. And I know that we're imminently about to get Silent Hill 2 remake. And again, I know that Mike's just put in the chat there, the Mortuary Assistant is one I've not gotten around to playing.
It's good.
But it feels like there's just I don't know. I'm missing it. I'm missing a really good, big horror franchise.
It's funny. We were saying this last week. We were watching the opening night live at Gamescom, and the lack of horror games announced was quite noticeable. I think there was only about 3 or 4, and 2 of them, one was Little Nightmares 3, which we'd already knew was coming, which is weird because it's not Bandai Namco doing it. It's now Supermassive doing it, who did like Until Dawn and all that lot, The Quarry. Yes, there is another Dark Pictures anthology game coming because they're starting the next anthology. And then the other game is the game that was made by the people that did Little Nightmares, which looks like Little Nightmares. And I was like, is that what we've got coming up for horror games? Silent Hill 2, again, I think it was the same PlayStation showcase as Concord. That did not look good to me at the time. I was really concerned about that. But then more footages come from Gamescom and it looks a lot better. So I think that could be good. But I mean, even when you got things like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that's great fun, but there's no horror to it because it's so funny to play. It's so comedic. There has been a massive I mean, the only real good one, I'll be honest, this year, which was our early access last year, but it got its final release, has been the Outlast Trials. That's a great multiplayer horror game, and it scares the crap out of me whenever we play it. It's just very well done. But I am struggling to think of anything this year. But yeah, don't get me wrong. As David Newland says, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, great game, great fun to play. So play it, but it's not a horror game.
It's I don't know why it is, but horror always for me translates really well to video game because it's you're not just a voyeur, you're not just watching it happen. You are actively taking part. There's been some really good horror games on VR. You know, VR works really well for horror because it's just that next step into the game. I'm struggling to think of what I would actually. Well, actually, I'm not struggling at all. I know exactly what I would want, and it's really annoying me. I think this has all basically come around after me seeing about 3 or 4 really good horror movies back to back, and then coming out of Alien Romulus the other night and just kind of going, why didn't we get a sequel to Isolation? Why isn't there another Alien Isolation game coming?
Yeah, I mean, you've got this Alien VR thing coming out, which looks cool. But yeah, the fact that Alien Isolation was such a fantastic game and it's never had a sequel, I just don't understand.
Yeah. Because that was developed by Sega. Well, no, published by Sega. Who developed that one?
Oh, my life, now you're asking. I only played it last week as well again.
Either way.
Yeah.
It would benefit so well. And so many people have done so many mods for it now as well. It looks so... if you've got a PC and you're into the modding scene, it's never looked any better than it has right now. It looks so good. But it sold well. It was well received. by everybody. So I just can't fathom why there isn't another Alien Isolation, or at least another Alien game in that type of
There we go.
that type of
Creative
experience.
Assembly.
Creative
There you go.
Assembly. There we
There
are.
you go.
So yeah, I'm missing horror. Like, horror's doing well at the cinema, which for me would think, right, well, let's bring out horror in all these other mediums, comic books. Let's bring out some more horror games and this kind of thing. But there's nothing there. Nothing there. There was what was the last Aliens game? Is it Dark Ascent? And that was a strategy game.
Yeah, it was a strategy. It was a perfectly decent game, but it's again not horror. It was very much in line with the whole Aliens canon and everything. I thought it was done very well, but it's a tactical strategy game with Marines getting them from place to place and completing the missions and killing aliens and getting hostages, or not hostages, but rescuing people and getting them in the truck to get them out of there. And that's all it really was, really.
Actually, that's not a bad shout, Danke. Could that new Jurassic Park game be considered horror?
Yeah.
Very possibly, actually, because it looks terrifying.
Yeah.
That looks like it could be a really solid game, and I'll be really upset if it's crap.
Yeah.
I need something.
Yeah. I think the problem with the Alien games at the moment is there hasn't really been Alien games that class as horror. I mean, Manic said about Aliens Fireteam Elite, which came out a couple of years ago. That was also okay, but it was basically a Left 4 Dead of aliens.
Yeah.
Which is good, but there was no horror element to it. At every point did you really get any jump scares?
No.
To it?
No, and I'm strongly considering trying to get the platinum for Alien Isolation. I think probably that might put me off wanting another Alien Isolation game. If I try and get the platinum and play that on hard mode, it's just I may as well just take 10 lashes and be done with it. But but yeah, somebody else put something up in the chat there earlier as well. Where's it gone? Okay, so yeah, Dave Newton talked about a Blair Witch VR game. That would be cool. The Blair Witch game is very good. I really liked that. Oh, did you not like it?
I thought it was very average. I think it started off well, but went downhill quite quickly. And I think it's probably one of the weakest things that Bloober Team ever made.
Okay.
Again, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't replayed it, but I played through it and got to the end, and I sort of thoroughly enjoyed myself. But then I do really like the Blair Witch sort of mythology, and the franchise. Not that it should have ever really been one, but it is. But yeah, Blair Witch VR game would be. I think I'd shit my pants constantly. But yeah, Tim, horror games. Anything that sort of springs to mind, a franchise that's
some horror games. I really enjoy horror in VR, and I really enjoy the Resident Evil 4 remake in VR. So I just love to see more of that. More remakes of horror games that have done really well, but in VR. And I'm in. So yeah, getting to replay some old horror games in VR is great. And then anything. I think at this point, if I'm playing a horror game, I want it to be VR, because VR horror is such a good experience, and I absolutely love one of my favorite VR games of all time. One of my favorite horror games of all time was Resident Evil 7. That was such a good experience. I replayed through that a few times as well. It wasn't too long. You could go back and play again. I did like a speed run to unlock one of the secret items, and I put it on Madhouse. I think they called it Madhouse difficulty. And that introduced, like, you had to get cassette tapes to save. And there was a brilliant moment in it where there's a scene where you go into the garage and Jack's after you, and you have to get in the car and drive the car and ram it into Jack. I knew what I was supposed to do. It's like, right, we've got to get the keys for the car. We'll get there. And literally, I go to where the keys are, and instead of the keys being there, a locked little case was there that you had to unlock to get the keys to the car. And I didn't have the pick for it. And I was like, as soon as I got there, because again, you couldn't save in the same way because it was a Madhouse mode. I can remember just going in there. I was like, no! I was like, fuck you, game. And then Jack's behind me. I'm like, oh, fuck off. And I'm like literally shitting it because Jack's there. I'm running around the garage trying to find where the pick is to unlock the box. And I find it on the shelf, and then I die, and I had to go back and do it again. So next time I was like, right, go grab the pick, grab the key, get in the car, go. But yeah, that moment of, even though I died and I was swearing at the game at the time, that thing of just like, oh, I'm not safe, and there's a guy trying to kill me right there, and the scene's there, and like it's got the music and everything, and it's just that like I say, it's that immersiveness, isn't it? It's like you're
Mm.
living the horror movie, and that's the thing. Resident Evil 7, it very much feels like a horror movie,
Yeah,
doesn't it? Like you're playing through a part, and the story's brilliant in that. And yeah, I that is the pinnacle for me in horror VR is Resident Evil 7. I've not played 8 though. I've been putting off playing 8 because I want to play 8 in VR, and I haven't got a PSVR 2 yet, so I will get to that. But yeah, so far RE7 is the top for me.
Yeah, I would say 7 is better than 8. However, there are things that you kind of get to the end of 7 and you go, well, I know this is like a fantasy horror thing, but even this is stretching it too far. But then when you play 8, and 8 is a very good game as well. But once everything reveals at the end of 8, it ties in so beautifully with 7. You go, that answered all my questions from the last game. Thank you very much. And you kind of go, I can accept all that now because it all makes sense.
I'll keep this brief because I've mentioned this on the channel before, but it's something that just sticks with me that I can't stop thinking about. And that is that when you play the game, obviously the Bakers were a normal family, they get infected by the mold, and like their house is all like fucked up, and there's like bugs everywhere and mold on the walls, and it looks horrible. And I just assumed that the house is messed up because they were infected and they've all gone crazy. But when you play the End of Zoe DLC, there's a scene that takes place before they meet Evelyn and get infected by the mold, and their house is like all messed up. Like, why were they living like this? Like
they're just messy bastards.
And their house is horrible, and they've just got and they've got like shadow puzzles to get from one room to the other, and like scorpion keys. I'm like, why is that in their house? Like before they got infected by the mold, just weird. So they're a weird family even before Umbrella got their hands on them. Yeah. Anyway,
I do agree with that because it is a bit weird, isn't it? It's like going into like a really, really dirty hillbilly house. And they're just like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Wash a pan up or something. Just
they're like, we haven't washed the pan for months.
Yeah. Shocking. So yeah, I want more horror games is the short answer to a lot of that. I feel like we need them. There's not enough of them. Right. Moving very swiftly on to our next topic. So something that we talked about a couple of shows ago was what is the future of gaming events? Because at that point, we'd been to WASD, which was a really good event, really enjoyable event. Yeah. We were either on the cusp or had just come back from Knott's VGE, which again was a really great weekend, had a lot of fun there. And then we have also had Timeless, which is the event that Mag co-owns and co-puts on. Timeless.
As technically now I own it outright. So
this is now Mag's full event.
Yeah, my full event now. Yeah.
And I think this just harks back to what we were saying about what were we saying with the way gaming events need to move forward is the independent gaming scene and the independent events seem to be where it's at. Because the big events just don't happen. If they do happen, there's all sorts of stuff that sort of hinders them from being a really good event that you can really kind of connect with people at. Timeless was a really, really solid event.
Thank you.
For anyone in the chat that went, please stick in the chat, all the things that you did and all the things that you enjoyed. For anyone that didn't go, you missed out. It was a day. It's a full day. It's a 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. It's a
how long the day was when those lights came up at the end. I was like, I want to is it over? I just want to keep going.
There was so many people were like, can't this go on for a couple more hours?
Yeah.
And it was part of me that was like, yeah. It was part of me was like, no. Can you just go home because I'm exhausted?
But yeah, so before we dive in and talk all things Timeless with Mag, for people that did miss out, I'm going to make you feel that you've really missed out now. It's a 12-hour event which has talks, it has gaming challenges, it has a DJ set at the end, which was from DJ Slopes, which is all video game related, which was absolutely solid. And as we'd said in the build up to it, it's 4 floors of arcades, each floor kind of being slightly different to the last, with the top floor culminating in just an absolute overwhelm of retro arcades, from everything from Frogger to the Simpsons arcade, which I talk about a lot.
Yeah, I love
but it's the proper Simpsons arcade. It's the sit down one with the TV from the Simpsons in front. I was thoroughly overwhelmed by that that whole day, and overwhelmed in the best way. It's I like my senses to just be completely bamboozled with tons of stuff. I know that's not everyone's bag, but yeah. Mag, Timeless, talk us through Timeless.
All right. Well, first thing I would like to say is thank you to both of you for coming along and hosting the retro gaming competitions on the Sneak stage. Greatly appreciate that you did that. So thank you to both of you.
Our absolute pleasure.
Great fun. I hope you had as much fun as the people playing it or the people that didn't know the controls. It's funny. It's great. But yeah, I'm going to say this now. Firstly, I had a bit of a I don't know. Some people caught my closing speech before we kind of went like into like the evening part of the event. I did have a bit of a, I wouldn't say a rant, but I stood up on stage and basically said, this is why you've got to support independent gaming events. And I quite openly mentioned WSD. I mentioned Knots VGE. Format were there at our event because they support our event, and we're going to be supporting Format next month. And I was just like, all the big gaming events are disappearing. They're probably not going to survive. And the ones that are here now are probably not going to be there next year. And we just want to bring people together, gamers, gaming enthusiasts, tech enthusiasts, just communities. We had esports teams turn up for the first time ever, even though we weren't doing anything esports related. They just got together and came to this thing, families, and it just cosplayers, just dancers. And it was just like, we've just now insanely, I mean, this and the team, this is not me taking all the credit. Myself and the team have just made this most amazing, all-inclusive event for anyone. So whether you're a total nerd or not, you fit in, and no one was judged for what they liked or didn't like. And we've had so many beautiful comments on social media, and we're still getting comments, and there's still video reviews coming out and stuff, which we'll look at. The feedback's been phenomenal, and I honestly think we smashed it out of the park about 300 times more than the previous year. I mean, we sold out for the first time. We had about 30 tickets left on the day, and they went. We had, bloody hell, we got Jason Bradbury there. I mean, the guy's a legend, and he was willing to come up to the event, and he was our opening keynote. He's just the most nicest guy, and I've had phone conversations a number of times since. I'm probably going to be doing some other stuff with Jason, actually, so that's cool. Ashen's great guy. Very honoured to have him there. And then just the fact that we brought all these different communities, the cosplaying community, the Just Dance community. We had all the different content creators. We had the wonderful Josh Strife Hayes from Session Zero leading that panel for us. We had Paul Monahan from Pixel Addict doing the Legends panel. The Legends panel went down so well. We had Melanin Games that come all the way from London to talk about content creation. Debug were doing all the stuff with the indie game panel and stuff. And just Slopes doing his quiz. I actually think the quiz was the most packed out thing we had. It was on the part of Ashen's and Jason. Like, you couldn't fit any more people in that room on the main stage. I honestly couldn't believe how well it went. And I'm not like acting like I'm surprised. We planned it to a T, but it was just like, I think this is going to be hard to beat to do at the time of doing the event.
Yeah.
The feedback has just been phenomenal. And we were ambitious because it was a bigger event. We did 2 stages for the first time. We had a creator lounge for the first time. There's things that worked. There's things that didn't work. So I can admit that. And we're looking into that. But generally, everyone I spoke to was just like, when are you doing the next one? And it's just been heartwarming. We've had some, Jesse will tell you, I don't know if he's still in chat, but we've had some lovely comments on social media where it's just like, it nearly made me cry because they were like, I found people and communities that accept me for who I am, and I could be part of that, and you accepted us. And I'm just like, oh my God, we've hit the nail on the head of something that's so much more than turning up and playing a couple of video games with some mates. And I'm like, very thankful for that. And we want to continue that very
Mhm.
much so. So it was an insane day. I couldn't tell you much about it apart from what I know because I nearly missed the whole thing because I was so busy organizing it. But what I do know is that it was it was we I think we created a piece of history right there, right then, 2 Wednesdays ago.
Definitely. And the fact that it was 2 weeks ago feels absolutely bizarre because it only really feels like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John, you listing off all the stuff that was there, just in a nutshell, it had everything. I think everything I'd want to see at an event was there.
Yeah.
You know, and I was overwhelmed with the games. I think anyone that's local that maybe knows the arcade club as it goes there, maybe would have spent more time, looking at the stuff that's going on the stage, things like that. But I just kept finding myself like going in and out, dipping into games, checking out on stage, dipping into more games. And it was absolutely brilliant. That top floor as well of all the retro stuff.
It's like a museum in itself.
There was something just really nice about just walking around, looking at the games, rather than actually like having to necessarily play on everything. But it's like, oh, they've got this, they've got this, they've got this, and then all the stuff that was going on throughout the day, and the fact there's like bars on every floor as well. Brilliant. And then I spent some time like the debug area playing some indie games as well.
Yes,
so that was cool. I think that picked up a lot of bit when people were getting food on that floor. And people getting like the little buzzers to be like, oh, when it'll go when your food's done. Oh, well, I'm going to play some indie games then while I'm waiting. Yeah. So I played a couple more then and went back in. But absolutely brilliant. Really good. Like I say, the worst part of the day for me was when the lights came up and it was over. I was like, no, I could carry on for a few hours. I want to come back and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. And it is an event. I think this is the thing. It's not just like an event in terms of it's an event to put on. It's the actual atmosphere in the arcade club felt like an event. It felt like there was lots of things going on. There was like a real buzz of activity, and lots of people just being very, very happy. And I think that's the big kicker was the amount of very happy people that were just walking around. And that speaks volumes, I think, for the type of event that it is. And you got a free can of sneakers. You walk through the door as well.
Yeah, which is always all right, isn't it? Yeah. Free drinks.
We had no idea. We only tried to play a game, and we didn't really know what we were supposed to do because it's all in Japanese and there's no instructions. And later, a few of us were around it. We realised that you're not supposed to bang the big button. The big button was actually a table, and you're supposed to like flip the table. Like the game, like there's a wedding cake on a table, and then the game is like you wait, and then you flip the table to fling the cake, like you're doing shot put or javelin, and that was hilarious. So we had a few people just like crowd around this guy, like taking it in turn, see who can flip the cake the furthest. And that's probably that was probably my favorite game of the day, flipping a cake off a table.
Flipping the cake.
It's nuts. Yeah. There's some really there's the pig riding game as well, which is insane. I've still not tried that yet. People have told me I've got to try that. They had the brand new jet ski game as well on the ground floor. They literally put that in that week.
Right,
so we always, like last time it was Time Crisis 5 turned up the week before. So there's always new stuff turning up. But everyone was going on about how good the jet ski thing was. That looked insane. And the giant Pac-Man. Did you see the giant Pac-Man on the ground floor?
Yeah.
That had literally turned up that week. And we were like, this is cool. There's stuff turning up for our event. So
I'll tell you what, having had a few drinks the night before and coming down, I very much appreciated the hurricane simulator. That really energized me. I'm like, you know what? I feel good now. I'm going to go drink my Sneak energy drink and go play some games. But that was a very good addition, being able to go on a hurricane simulator.
Yeah.
That knocked out a few cobwebs, I think.
Yeah, that always helps.
But then even if you're, like you said, it's open to families. There's family tickets that people can purchase. So even if there's some games and arcades that the kids wanted to play, then I think it's either the first floor or the second floor. There's a huge area where there's just couches. There's Mario Kart. There's Minecraft. Then there's a whole little bank of Xbox Ones that are all set up, which you can effectively go and download a game on if it's there. And for kids that maybe just wanted to do that it's there for them, and the parents can go play some arcades.
It's that thing that we did have more families turn up this year and more kids than previous years, and it was great to see people like, oh, I'm going to go on this floor, play this and this, and the kids were like, yeah, well, I'm going to go play some Minecraft or whatever for a bit, and then they swapped, and it was quite funny, and it was just, this is we do pitch it as it's a very family friendly event. all the talks and stuff are geared. There's no, I mean, anyone who watches any of my shows know I swear like a trooper. So even me, I do not say a bad word until the event's over, because obviously I'm on stage and stuff. So it is very geared at being family friendly. And again, it's that, you know, we had a couple that literally brought their little kid, and it was so funny. They put ear defenders on it for DJ Slope's drum and bass set, and it was rocking back. The baby was rocking back and forth. Like, this baby's not even like a year old, and it's going to be a gamer, which is amazing. So we touched base with literally we're trying to basically tick all the boxes for everyone to come along. And I did get a couple of people go, oh, it's a school night. Well, it's not a school night because it's smack bang on the middle of the summer holidays, and that's why a Wednesday works well. And we get people saying, well, you should do it on a weekend, but we're like, well, we sold it out, so we don't need to. So it'll be a weekday again. We've proved that.
There's no need for it to be a weekend, like you say.
There is no need for it to be a weekend. It's smack bang in the summer holidays. There's lots of families that came up to us last year and this year went, thank God you've got this on, because we have to wait till everything starts at the weekends to take our kids, and they're driving us crazy. And we can come to this on a Wednesday, and then they're happy for the rest of the week. And it's like, done. Thank you very much. So yeah.
But I think all of you guys that put it on, it was you can see the effort that goes into the day. You can see the effort that you're putting in on the day. You know, you're all getting pulled, you know, left and right without, like you said, I don't think you really got a chance to sort of slow down until. Do
you know what? The bit that got we after the event finished and we packed down, a lot of people go their separate ways, and me and Jesse were staying at the same place. And then we got a text from one of my friends saying, do you want to come for a beer? And we obviously we'd been in there since 8 o'clock that morning, and we were like, oh, go on, we'll go for a beer. And we walked in. I know you guys saw this. We walked in, and me and Jesse got a standing ovation in the pub. And the fact that all the people were in the pub, they were the only people in the pub, but it was like 60 people that had been to Timeless, and all different. And we got like people were cheering and clapping, and I was just like, yeah, that was worth that alone. That was amazing that we just walked in and randomly and people started cheering and clapping, and we're like, yeah, we must have done all right then. Because that was heartwarming.
The night before, I think Amy messaged us and said, oh, you know, there's a few people going for a beer in this place. So we turned up to that. And again, it's just a multitude of content creators and just people that come to the event, just all hanging out, having a drink. So there was like a real like community element to it before the event even started, which felt really good. And then that continued throughout the day, and then also continued into the evening. Yeah,
and it's the thing that obviously the night before, we had a number of different communities for different areas, because I was floating around you guys, floating around the debug guys. Obviously, there was another group of friends from my community. Then I was zapping over to a lot that had come all the way from Wales. Then there was another time we had people that come over from America, so I was talking to them. And then as the day went on, they all started mixing with each other. So by the time we got to the pub that evening, everyone was in different. It was great. It was different. It was a beautiful thing to see. It just got on. It warms the heart. I'm going to say, and it's one of the reasons we do it, because Lord knows we don't make any bloody money from it, so we don't do it for financial gains. But it makes it all that work. The 11 months of planning and everything's so worthwhile.
I think that's the thing that people forget. You know, we just turn up on the day and, you know, do a thing and then just get to enjoy the atmosphere and enjoy the event itself. You know, and I think people do just forget that there is, that you just said, 11 months of prep. You know, there's a lot of preparation that goes into putting an event like this on.
It's hard work. And you know, we were only a team of 4. We're not a team of 4 now, but we're only a team of 4, and a big shout out to all of them. But the one that deserves the most biggest shout out is Jesse, because Jesse probably spent more time doing anything than anybody else. And I feel bad for him, because I know he's in chat right now, but I want to say a big shout out to him, because, you know, he does nearly all the marketing, and he does all the website updates, and then he's there on the day filming and photographing. He spends more time doing this than his other jobs, and I feel bad because we're pulling him away from that. But they all work. The team all work really hard to do it. and especially more so on the day. And I think that's what makes it a success. And also, we had a number of volunteers that helped on the day as well and on the setup. And I want to say a big thank you to them, because without them, things wouldn't run so smoothly. And also all the arcade club staff as well, because obviously the bar staff, the kitchen staff, everyone that's involved, we literally hire the place out. So they come in and work for us, really. And they're brilliant. They're so friendly. The bar staff and kitchen staff are so friendly, and nothing's too much trouble. And the on-the-ground staff that are doing stuff when we need them to do stuff, they're great. So it just makes like one giant team that works so well. So I couldn't ask for anything more for what we did that event. But yeah, it's 11 months of hard graft, and I think out of all the team, it's Jesse and me that probably slept the least. And I had this great idea that I made the mistake last year of announcing when the next one will be live on stage, and then we're supposed to have 3 days away. And Jesse will tell you, I went down to Jesse and Amy's at the time, and then literally started getting emails the next day to say, right, we're organising the next one. And I was like, what have I done? What an idiot. So I said, this year I'm not announcing anything because we need a break. And that kind of worked. But then we've already had some major meetings and stuff, which I can't discuss. And certain people that came to the event to check out the event, to possibly back it, fund it, be sponsors for the future event. And basically, we're not even 2 weeks to the event, and we think we've got next year sorted. We think. That's all I'm allowed to say. But we think we're in a position where we're probably not going to announce the date straight away. We're probably looking like a couple of months. But literally just after the couple of meetings we've had, it's very clear that now we've hit that point. We're now on everyone's radar, and people are now coming to us going, we want to do this. And then we've had other people that said, we love what you do, we want to be involved, and we've had discussions. So it's kind of like, I can see the team evolving and getting bigger, but basically the whole thing is to keep that core thing of, it will still hopefully be at Arcade Club. It will still be the essence of what we're trying to do, a game that encompasses everyone. An event that encompasses everyone and caters for everyone. But even though I didn't think we could outdo ourselves, I think with what potentially could be lined up with what's been floated around, we probably will outdo ourselves from this year for next year. And I'm not just saying that to hype it up. There's a lot of interested parties that are big names.
There was a lot of nods. There there.
That's all I'm allowed to say. And I might even get in trouble for saying that. So I'm sorry if said people are watching, because they said they might be watching. So I'm sorry. Okay. But it was funny how we've gone. The whole team said, yes, we agreed, having a 2-month break, blah, blah, blah. And in less than 2 weeks, the next event looks like it's sorted.
But that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. No, it is a good thing. It is a good thing. And I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, will the lead sponsor be Dave in his buckets? Well, you never know. You never know. Dave is on the team, right, wanging his buckets around the venue. But
gotta watch them buckets. And yes, Dave, I'm taking that.
Oh, good. Oh, there you go. Jesse just said they weren't watching. They were on the phone to you. Okay, cool. So they were talking to you. So there you go. I have a stack of NDAs. There's certain stuff I'm not allowed to talk about. But last week we had a lot of people asking us, why aren't you announcing it straight away? Why not? And we said, look, we want to take the time to consider all the options. We're not, even though we've had all these big meetings and we know that we're going to be putting on an event, we're not rushing into it. There's things we're going to consider. There's going to be feedback forms going out to everyone attended, and there's feedback forms going to all the content creators, because again, thank you to all the content creators for backing our event and promoting our event, because we wouldn't have sold it out without their help, and guys like yourself are helping promoting it. But at the same time, we want to take into consideration other people's thoughts of what could be changed, what could be improved, and the fact that there's other aspects we've got to look into. There's other things that we might do that we've not done before, as we've said, which again, I can't talk about, but there will be new additions for the event, and possibly make the event bigger, longer, things like that.
Everybody likes bigger. Everybody likes longer.
Yeah. So there's kind of that, but it's a nice position to be in to say, well, we can now carefully consider these options and take our time about it rather than going, right, what are we going to do? Which was kind of like the plan originally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave is incredibly positive. There's nothing I think anyone could say that Dave would not be able to make positive. So yeah, Dave will have to get you down there. You got to come if
you've got to do it.
If Stroke win, it gets announced. Well, yeah,
Sorry,
Dave, you got to make it. Yeah, you got to make it up. Oh, what about the buckets?
Yeah, that's a running joke. We've got a sound alert that says this game has always been and always will be about buckets. So I like the fact that he's mentioned that's a little hint to my channel. So that's quite funny. I like that. So
before we dive on to the last point that we normally sign off with, because I appreciate you're going to be going live over on Twitch in
15, 20 minutes. Yeah. I do need to say one thing. Sorry, because there was something I was going to reveal, wasn't there? And I forgot.
Ooh.
So I forgot to say, and this is the first lot of people that we're saying this to, in probably the next 24, 48 hours, for anyone who didn't get merch, because we had a load of people said, oh, I forgot to buy merch. The merch store is re-going live for literally a couple of weeks for the limited edition merch. And not only that, all the pictures from the event will be going live simultaneously. So you can go and get your pictures and be able to see all the action from all the guest speakers. See the lads from Retro Gaming Revival. And again, that's a big thank you to Jesse for doing that. So literally, next 24, 48 hours, we'll be putting out announcements on socials. And yeah, if you want to get merch, buy merch. And if you just want to go find a photo of yourself, if you went to the event and get it, then feel free to do so. So there you go.
Got to be done. It will all be in the descriptions below, but where can people find you on the interwebs?
So I am on Twitch TV. I am Middle Age Gamer Guy UK on Twitch TV. I am on Mondays, normally Mondays to Thursdays at 9 till 11:30. Mondays and Thursdays are whatever new games are out and I'm playing. And it can be indie games, AAA games, etc. As I say, Monday next week will be Star Wars Outlaws. Tuesdays are the talk show, which I know you guys have been on, Tuesday Night Gaming Chat, where we talk about everything that's happened in the gaming world last 7 days or so. I can also reveal that Jason Bradbury is going to be on that show in about 3-4 weeks' time. He's my guest on the show, which is going to be awesome. And we've got some other big names lined up for over the months coming up to Christmas. And then Wednesdays is a community night where it's a free-to-play game that everyone can play. Sometimes cross-platform, sometimes not always, but we try and get as many people involved. So ironically, we are playing Fortnite on Wednesday, which we haven't played since the new season came out. So I expect to be trash at that. So yeah, that's what we do. Thursday's new game is Gory Cuddly Carnage, which literally comes out on Thursday, same day as Star Wars Outlaws, which is, if anyone doesn't know, was at WASD last year, but it's the game where you play a cat on a flying skateboard where you rip and tear apart unicorns horrifically, and it's great fun. It's not called Gory Cuddly Carnage for no reason.
I could just see Tim's eyes light up then. It was like a cat and skateboard.
It's
decapitating unicorns.
Great fun. So I'm looking forward to playing that Thursday.
Excellent. So yeah, anyone in the chat that isn't already, head on over to twitch.tv, get following Mag, give him a sub if you've got your Amazon Prime and all that good stuff. And even if you haven't, go sub. It's a great time. There's always a good load of banter in the chat. Yeah, when I'm able to make it over, I very much enjoy it. It's
I appreciate
it's a great show.
Pop in.
I jump in occasionally. Yeah. I still don't understand Twitch though. There's like icons on the screen. I don't know if I push them, something happens. So I watch and occasionally comment.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the thing that we're gonna round it off with is just the new PlayStation Plus games. It used to be PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold, but we started, and I'm still going to take it, that our little slice of the internet, we started the hashtag Games with Gold has to die and then about 2 months later, it died.
Yeah,
Um,
it did.
so the game's coming to.
There you go.
There it is. That was
Brilliant.
Yeah, we did have fun with that. We had a lot of fun with that. Games coming to your Essentials PlayStation Plus this month are the new Saints Row, which I'll give that a go. It doesn't
It
cost
was all
anything.
right.
Generation Zero, which I've never heard of before.
I think that was supposed to be good.
I've no idea what that is at all. But the big one for me, Black Desert Traveler Edition. It's been many a year since I've played an MMO, but there was something about Black Desert that I always found really appealing. And I don't know if you need to have a subscription in order to play it on PS Plus. That would feel a bit weird if I did, but hopefully I don't, because I really want to play it. And there we go. There's your free PS Plus games this month. Even if you're only minorly interested, just stick them in the what is it? Put them on your library and then download it later. Then it always runs. Excellent. So we're now into the 12 minutes until Mag has to be on his own channel. So that seems like a good place to wrap up.
If anyone wants to win a copy of Strange Brigade, because we're celebrating 6 years, then tune in, because we're going to be giving away 2 copies on Xbox Series X tonight. That's what we're doing. 6-year anniversary of a game that most people have never heard of, but it's great fun. So there you go.
Excellent. There we go. So head on over immediately once this is finished and get yourselves ready. Mag, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you. No, it's always a pleasure. Look forward to anything that Timeless throws up over the next couple of days and couple of months, and we'll be watching them socials and seeing what manifests. Exciting.
It's going to be very exciting times. That's all I can say.
I'm very excited. So yes, and thank you again for having us be part of the event. And
you're welcome. Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you everyone in the chat for keeping along with us. It's always appreciative to see some new faces, as well as our core faces. If you're new to the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, because that helps us out a lot. Give the video a little cheeky thumbs up, because that lets us know that you've also been here. And we will see you all next week, which is going to be for Total Evercade on Monday. So until then, we will see you next week. Good evening.